Well, welcome everybody. Special treat today. This is Luca for another installment of The Way It Is, and we're doing this at 2,700 feet with, we've had the fantastic good fortune to be with, I can call him a client, I like to call him a friend, Will Hodgskiss, known as locally as Willy Dog, and we're in his Mooney Bravo, and he's been gracious enough to take myself and Ben Myers, my podcast videographer, up for a flight today. We're heading east to Cornwall, doing a little circuit and coming back. And we've got just a crackerjack of a day, Sunday the 16th of May, and we're going to have a lot of photos and a lot of footage. Ben's doing that, so we're just super excited to be here. Will, welcome and thank you.
Thanks to you. It's always nice for me to have victims, passengers to come and keep me company here, and you're pretty calm, Ben, and yourself are pretty calm passengers. It's a treat to have you. Thank you.
So, one of the interesting things, and I took advantage when you offered the opportunity to come up, is it segued right into a perfect episode. Will, for those of you that don't know, Google Willy Dog. He is a self-made fellow, started a business basically with a hot dog cart. He operates out of Napanee now, and your franchise globally. So tell us just a little bit about that.
Sure, you're right about that. I started with a single hot dog cart about 30 years ago, actually. Long story, I'll make it really short. I made my first million before I was 30, but I bailed a brother-in-law out of bankruptcy and guaranteed loans, and he reneged and ruined me financially when I was in my 30s. Nobody would hire me, so I bought a hot dog cart and took it from there. And we did franchise. I stopped franchising about 10 or 15 years ago now, but we still have franchises operating in places like the States, Israel, and so on. But I'm phasing all of it out now and focusing mostly on manufacturing export, which we do very well.
Well, and I was on your site and I got some of the history of it, and it's great that your daughter is with you now, and you've actually morphed the business into another direction as well with the manufacture of these mobile kitchens or food trucks, essentially.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I love advertising, especially when it's cheap, free, not cheap, free. But anyway, yeah, that's right. We did morph into manufacturing food trucks, containers, marketing vehicles of all sorts, including from brand new to restorations and repurposing of antique vehicles. We're doing a nice 1947 school bus. It'll be on Wasaga Beach pretty soon.
Wow.
As an American-style diner.
Awesome. So, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been self-employed my entire adult life. You are as well, and you know, COVID is happening. We're in the longer than anyone would have wanted or expected, and we hear the stories daily about small business, the repercussions and the aftermath that we still don't even know what that's going to look like. Tell us a little bit about, your business. Maybe, is it affected? Is it COVID-proof? Is it recession-proof? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that part of it?
It's a good question. COVID has made everything harder, I should say. Not for me, but probably for just about everybody. Almost everyone is paying a price one way or the other. For us, we had reached what I call critical mass in business, and we were growing at a rapid pace almost no matter what. And it remained the same. One of the things that surprised me was some of our billion-dollar customers like Cineplex and King's Dominion and companies like that, Costco, PriceSmart, these billion-dollar outfits, actually put the orders they had deposits on with us on mothballs till they saw what was happening. I would have thought that they would be a little less careful in that, but it was kind of an interesting lesson in that. But generally our sales volume went up, but we worked a whole lot harder for a dollar these days. But I'm very the company was structured by Nikki and myself to survive serious hits like this, and we were in no threat of demising whatsoever. I'm pleased to say.
Now, you call Kingston home now. You're from Hamilton originally,
yeah,
correct? But your business and your manufacturing is all done out of Napanee, Ontario,
yeah,
which must be fantastic for that community and a boon to that community. How many people do you employ? What's your sort of staff levels there?
Here we employ about 20 people in the office and in production and marketing and so on, plus quite a few sub-trades that come in. So we cause employment, I guess you could say that. We cause employment for probably 30 families, something like that. And I'm proud of that. That's probably, to me, it's not about money. It's about doing something that's interesting and that's useful. The rest will follow.
So I guess having gone through everything you've gone through, because I know not everyone is an entrepreneur and not everyone can be a business owner. What are some, if we're going to give some helpful advice for those that are thinking about starting a business or, have an existing business, because we've all heard this term about pivoting during COVID. Any insights that you can offer to someone now?
My dad always used to say, persevere, and I think that's a major part of being successful. It's easy to quit, but for me, quitting isn't an option. What am I going to do? I was never employed by anyone else to speak of other than picking tobacco on a newspaper route. So being employed wasn't an option, even though I was educated and bilingual, you name it. There was no market for a guy like me. So quitting isn't in the cards for me. It helps to start with a good idea, but if you could only start with one thing, it had better be an ability to work really hard and to be tenacious, and that's what I brought to the party. It could easily be argued that Willy Dog Venture is the name of a truck manufacturing company we have, it could easily be argued that it was a lame idea, but it actually worked. But a lot of other people tried it, they tried to copy me, and they failed.
Right.
It's that simple. And just pay attention, because being an entrepreneur isn't just about thinking up something, buying office furniture and waiting for people to come in. You know that.
Right.
It doesn't work. You've got to do something.
That's right.
So listen to what's going on. If the business tries to give you some feeling that it wants to move off in a specific area, in your case maybe not residential commercial, or maybe not commercial residential, or who knows. For me it was the same thing. And we started off as a single hot dog cart. I got multiple units. I could see that wasn't going to work. They're horrible to manage one at a time like that. So I franchised, and it worked better. And then I noted that manufacturing export was a stronger possibility and easier, and so I moved on into that realm, and went from there. So now Willy Dog Venture is a multi-million-dollar company, and it pays for a lot of my bad habits, this airplane being one of them.
Well, it's a pretty good habit to me right now, that's for sure. So, and that's great to hear. I also saw that you got recognized by the Chamber of Commerce as an award winner for your business of the size in terms of number of employees, which is, congratulations, that's a fantastic honor. In fact, I'm recording later in the week with Karen Cross, who's the CEO of the Kingston Chamber of Commerce, because obviously we want to get her insights in terms of what's happening in the Kingston community, business community, all those kinds of things. And bringing it back to, what I do in real estate, I agree. It's a function of you've got to give yourself a roadmap and a plan every day in terms of what your day is going to look like, what your week is going to look like, what your month is going to look like. Because without that kind of direction, whether it's self-imposed or someone helping you, you're just going to be floating adrift, just trying to figure out what's going to happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. And every day I wake up. I do everything by a checklist. Even fly my airplane with a checklist. My whole day runs from a checklist, and I knock these things off. It's never finished. It's the nature of the beast. But that's how I function. And I get up early. I work late. I have the option not to, but I'm just going to click off the autopilot. It was just fixed, but it's not working properly, so I'm going to give it a rest and fly by hand.
No problem.
That's what it is. But you must be disciplined. You have to get in and do that. Just because you're self-employed doesn't mean you can have a day off. you can have a day off, but you have to work twice as hard the next day when you come back. The rewards are there if you try hard enough, I'm sure of that.
Well, I've said this to my friends and those that would listen. I honestly believe everybody on the planet needs to be self-employed for at least 12 months or 24 months to understand how the world really works. And there's unfortunately a mindset that's out there that some people that are employed think that paychecks just come out of a bank vault or a bank account and then they just show up automatically every 2 weeks. Well, that's not the case. There's still someone at the very end of the line that's making income or that's generating a revenue to generate those paychecks. And it's all about, you know, and the risk that's involved and the taking of risk and the embracing the opportunity, but also knowing that you could fall flat on your face and you have to get back up again, right?
Absolutely. I'm with you on that one, brother, I'll tell you. The only thing I might add to that everyone should be self-employed, I would just add a little point to that will make me not popular with a lot of people. I would like to say, especially government workers or people who have an entitled sort of position like that, where they don't necessarily have somebody pushing them every day. I wish they could appreciate just how bloody hard it is to do what us entrepreneurs do. There's no seniors pension for us guys. There's no golden handshake. We make it ourselves or we don't get it.
That's right.
And I really wish we got more support from government on that regard. In that regard.
I'm sure there's a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs out there that would echo those sentiments. Because you're right. There's no benefit packages. There's no anything you get, you have to pay for yourself. I fully understand that. So, and appreciative of that. I'm just going to take a quick aside because this is just we're basically flying along the St. Lawrence River, and it's just breathtaking right now. How you doing, Ben?
Doing great. Yeah, it's quite the view.
We've got Brockville there, so this is a quick flight to Brockville. It's maybe 13, 14 minutes, and Brockville on the left down there. And I'm just going to switch frequencies so I can listen to the local frequency here.
So coming out of COVID, because I've thought about this and talked to people in the know, if you will, and though everybody has an opinion, but I would have to say that once COVID is quote unquote over, and not that it'll ever be officially, gone, the genie's out of the bottle now, it's not going back in, but I would have to think that there'll be opportunities and there's going to be an appetite for entrepreneurship and small business again.
You know, I never thought of that. Never thought of that, Luca, but I think you're right. A lot of companies have not survived this, and there are a lot of smart people who worked for other companies and didn't have the gumption, the inclination at that time to bust out and do it on their own. This might be a little more of an incentive, and there's a lot of clever people that have, I think, been calmed into working for someone else when they had potential to do quite a lot more for themselves. I hope we see that.
Yes, no, and sadly, the equation always is someone else's loss is someone else's gain, for sure, right? So there will be those that will come out of this very well and take advantage of opportunities that will exist after this all flows through. There's no question about that.
Yeah, for sure. Right now we're looking at, I think, Ogdensburg Airport, straight ahead, just about 1 o'clock.
In fact, I know when people were going to the States, that was the big rage. People were driving through to get there, and you could get like a $69 flight to Florida or something like that.
That's right, yeah. So I suppose that'll be back.
Yeah.
The town of Temple Ford en route to Rice Lake.
Well, apart from just a general conversation about entrepreneurship and business ownership, we talked about risk, we talked about reward. In all your time, because I know this is something that it's always been a factor for me, and I've been approached over the years by everybody with a good idea and a get-rich-quick scheme, and if it's too good to be true, it usually is, or sounds too good to be true, it usually is. But talk about how it's important to stay on your path, I guess, and keep your direction, because you will get distractions and people that'll want to take you in a different direction.
Yeah, you know, for me it's easy. You know, I just do what I do, and I find sidelines and I explore those, and that might take me off the path. But generally, if somebody's going to take me off the path, it's going to be me. I must say that the more successful I become, the more under attack I become, and I resent that. I don't deserve it, and I resent that. You know, there's a tendency to maybe to adjust my behavior, which could be regarded as aggressive at times, based on some of the outside inputs. And it's important to pay attention to what's going on around me. I don't want to be branded as a not a pleasant person, but you have to trust yourself as well. There's a Shakespeare my dad used to quote, above all to thine own self be true. And it's important. You know when, I do anyway, I know when I'm screwing up, and I'm always sorry about that, and I always apologize when I think I do, but I think that's it. I won't take myself off course, and I trust myself as much as I can and follow those guidelines.
Yeah, no, that's sage advice, for sure. And you're right. I mean, unfortunately, we do live in a world where success draws those that are envious and, you know, unappreciative of, they feel it happened by luck or by some taking over, you know, inheritance or taking over a family business and whatnot. And those cases exist, and sometimes they turn into better stories, sometimes they don't. You know, I'm sure we've both heard of those stories, but I think at the end of the day, like we touched on very early on in the conversation, it's about being diligent, it's about being persevering and staying on course. Yeah.
So. You know, it brings me to a point. Some time ago, some key staff departed the business for stress leave, and I came back to a situation which I think the business wasn't running as well as it could. And I was put in a position where I had to face that and deal with it. And so I since then, just coming up on a year, I've been working 80 to 100 hours a week, and I don't mind it. It doesn't seem like work to me. I would rather work less than that, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
And that's just one of the prices you have to pay and be prepared to pay. Things change, and you have to react to it. You can't quit it. Just, you know, things are too good if you stick with it, and terrible if you don't.
Well, and you're exactly right. You always have to be aware of what's happening with your business. I mean, it's one thing to have managers, it's one thing to have people with delegating responsibility, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with you, the owner, and if you're not paying attention, and unfortunately, I've had some bad experiences over the years with my property management company and different operators, because I did take my eye off of it. I stopped paying attention because I wanted someone else to take over, and invariably, it crap happens, you know. No one does it the way you do it because they're not the owner. They're not invested in it, right? They're wanting a check, and then at the end of the day, they're done. So,
interesting point I'd like to make is, for me, the most important person in the business isn't me. It's not my customers. It isn't my suppliers. It's actually my staff. And it may sound like rhetoric, but it's not. It's true with me. I like to look after these guys, the girls. They have mortgages to pay. They have, some of them, child support to pay, other bills to pay, girlfriends to take out, cars to make payments on. And my major obligation is to my staff. Secondly, to suppliers and customers. Thirdly and fourthly is to myself and the tax department. We're at the bottom of the scale. The staff come first. And I don't care whether people believe it or not, it's a fact with me.
Well, and you touch on a good point, which is a whole other series of podcasts, but this whole living wage and minimum wage and getting paid for, getting quality staff and taking care of them. You're absolutely right, because the only way to keep them is to make sure that they're appreciated and getting paid a wage that's commensurate with the work that they do. No question about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think we've we've covered all the highlights. I think we want to enjoy the rest of the flight and do what we're going to do. And I want to thank you again publicly on air. And this is just a fantastic opportunity, Will. And we're so appreciative. And all the best of luck. And yeah, maybe we'll do this again sometime. So
it'll be my pleasure. And in keeping with my style, I'm doing what I call the Hunter Becomes the Hunted series. So I'm going to take a picture of you back there shooting pictures of Luca and myself as soon as I get this thing figured out. And so can you, there you go, oops, disappeared, lean forward, there you go. Thanks guys.
That's awesome.